Avani Shroff, Mission Director at NEF, and it's a pleasure to have you all join us for this conversation on the hidden skills that fast track you into leadership roles. Now, many of us grow up believing that if we work hard, perform well, and build expertise, leadership roles will naturally follow. But in reality, a lot of capable, high performing professionals find themselves feeling stuck or overloaded. Today's work environment is fast changing, hybrid, and complex. Leadership isn't just about what you deliver anymore, it's also about how you influence, communicate, build trust, and show up consistently. The skills that accelerate leadership journeys are often subtle, not formally taught, and sometimes even invisible. That's exactly what we want to explore today, and I'm especially happy to be joined by Professor Sumi Jha to share her thoughts on this topic. Before we dive in, I'd love to properly introduce Professor Sumi Jha because of her various accomplishments, and I'm really excited to be in conversation with her today. Professor Sumi is an award winning professor and the Dean of Alumni and International Affairs at IIM Mumbai, and her work sits at the intersection of strategic leadership, analytics, and employee empowerment. What I really admire about Professor Sumi is how seamlessly she bridges theory and practice. She is an acclaimed author and researcher with multiple national and international publications. And at the same time, she's worked closely with organizations like RCF, Adani Gas, Tata Power, and Hindalco Industries, helping leaders think differently about people, performance, and leadership. And I can go on and on about Professor Sumi, but I think, given the time constraint, let's start. So, I just want to say that this isn't just an academic conversation, it's grounded in what actually works in real organizations with real leaders facing real challenges. Professor Sumi, we are so glad to have you with us today, and I'm really looking forward to unpacking these hidden leadership skills with you. So, my first
Thank
question
you
to
so much.
you,
Yeah.
yes, my first question to you is you've worked with leaders across industries and career stages. From your experience, why do you think so many strong performers struggle to make the shift into leadership roles?
First of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on a very, very pertinent topic. Um, on your question, strong performers usually get promoted, I would say, because they are excellent doers and they solve problems fast. They know the details and deliver reliability. But leadership, though, is a different craft altogether. It's less about having the answers and more about creating the conditions for others to find answers and for others to be able to do the task. Fine. So, high performers often equate quality with personal involvement. Delegation can feel risky to high performers because they feel that they have less control. Uh, they also feel that delegation may be very irresponsible behavior. But leadership requires trusting others before they are as good as you, fine, and coaching them through mistakes. So that emotional leap is harder than actually it look as than actually it is, and especially for people whose identity is tied to being an exceptional performer. Fine. So if a strong performer is there, it becomes very difficult for them to let go. Okay. So therefore, becoming a leader isn't a linear promotion. It's a psychological transition. Your value moves from being the hero to building the team. Fine. So when strong performers do make shift successfully, It's usually because someone helped them see leadership not as doing more, but as thinking differently about the impact. Yeah.
So that's actually a powerful insight. So what we are essentially saying is that uh, you have to move yourself from being the hero to being the
Yeah.
supporting actor,
Yeah,
and
and
that
make others hero.
make others the hero. So it's easier said than done. So
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, it, I'm sure in your experience, it you must have kind of felt that hesitation and everything. But yeah, let's to build on to that thought. Let's try and understand what are these hidden leadership skills that we're talking about. That makes the person hero as a leader or a supporting actor, and what are some of these capabilities that they need, which are sometimes underestimated and that really make a big difference.
Yeah, I love this question, Avni, because the most powerful leadership skills are often the least glamorous one. They are not taught, they are not experienced in a day-to-day life, or there is a term called professional willingness and personal humility. Fine. The combination of these two, the level 5 leadership, which we usually not talk about, I think are the most important combination that any leader should have. So the first thing there, still, I would say, is sense making. Fine. So, what makes a leader? One of the hidden, I would say, talent of a leader, which makes a leader a different leader, would be a sense making. Whether a leader is able to take a decision which makes sense in the mind of subordinates or not. Fine. So many people think leadership is about making calls quickly or taking decisions quickly. According to me, in reality, it is about helping others understand what's going on. Fine. Um, I'll just like to take one example, Indian example, of sense making. He is Mr. Nandan Nilekani. During his early years of making of Aadhaar, there were fears around privacy, exclusion, surveillance, political pressure, media pressure. There were a lot of technical uncertainty, and that were at unprecedented scale. Fine. So, but what he did not try to push Aadhaar as a technology project. What he did was, he framed it as an infrastructure problem. How do we give every resident a verifiable identity so the state can function fairly at scale? Fine. So, this verifiable identity uh, made sense to everyone, and therefore the decisions that he took reduced anxiety of the in general of the population. Fine. Everyone started buying his purpose. So leaders who frame these uncertainty and reduces anxiety are those who are able to uh, create this sense making among followers. That is one. The second one, which is hidden, I would say, is emotional self-regulation. How well I'm able to regulate my emotions. So the leaders the leaders emotions, or leaders nervous system, I would say, sets the tone of the room itself. Fine. So if a leader is nervous, team members can feel it, can sense it. So, being able to stay grounded under pressure, not react defensively, and respond rather than, I would say, explode, is what emotional regulation or self regulation is. Um, and people follow these leaders because they feel safe to think with. Okay. Let me give another example here of Ms. Falguni Nair, founder and CEO of Nika. And what happened post IPO? Nika faced wild stock price swings, public narratives of overvaluation, questions around profitability, governance, and promoter selling, relentless media and analyst pressure and scrutiny, I would say. But Falguni's public communication stayed calm. It was highly data anchored, it was forward looking, and almost deliberately, I would say, it was undramatic. That emotional stability or steadiness mattered because employees, investors, partners were watching her, and they were looking for cues to decide, is this a crisis or this is just a phase? So I would say Falguni Nair had handled her emotional self regulation really well. Fine. Another important factor, which I think remains hidden, is asking high quality question. We value a lot asking questions, but I think asking many questions won't make um, any difference. Asking better questions would make a difference. Fine. So, questions that surface assumptions, questions that would invite dissent, uh, and such questions would actually help followers to to be to be able to understand. Strong leaders know actually when not to be smartest voice in the room, and it is important therefore to ask question and allow the discussions and allow the dissent to happen. So if a question is very straightforward and smart and which would have obvious answers, those are not better ones. So it is leaders quality to create that and have create discussions. The last one I would say, the important quality of a leader is to be open to learn. Fine. And if a leader is able to admit uncertainty, um, and they are able to change their mind with new data that they are receiving, and if they are able to identify their own blind spots, um, are open to learn. Fine. So it gives others permission to learn from them, and to learn in their presence rather than perform in their presence. Fine. So these are some of the qualities I would say.
Yeah, so I think Professor Sumi, yes, Sumi have like literally, simplified the whole leadership concept. And these are such simple things. I mean, when you talk about common sense, and
Yeah.
you talk about, when you're creating an atmosphere where employees feel safe and encouraging them to think by
Uh,
asking the right questions.
Sense making is very important. Wherein the when I'm taking a decision, I as a leader is taking a decision, whether this decision makes any sense to my subordinates or to my followers or not. Am I making it um, relatable to them or not? This is very, very important. Many times what happens, leaders would just take decision without um, explaining it to the subordinate. So
Right.
sometimes important. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of, in this day and age, a lot of collaboration and engagement is required. So, what you're saying really makes sense because only when they feel that it makes sense, they will own that decision. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I think it's a great insight, and also asking the right questions. So I think that also, so that they feel like they are being what do you say, empowered when you ask them the right questions, and they kind of start taking ownership. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's these are all great. There is also a big shift involved in moving from, when somebody is an individual contributor to
Mhm.
they move to a leader. Because see, all these things are aspects like you mentioned, they are a hero. A high performer is a hero, and now they have to move to becoming a leader. That transition is very difficult. And
Mhm.
so, what are the mindset changes that they might need to make during that time? Because it's
Mhm.
going to be a very tough thing for them to do,
Mhm.
to kind of train their minds to becoming the hero to the supporting actor.
Yes. Uh, yes, you're absolutely right there. This transition, I would say, is less about skills and more about a deliberate mindset reset. Fine. So most people struggle not because they can't lead, but because they keep applying an individual contributor operating system, I would say, to the
Okay.
leadership role also. Fine. So
Correct.
individual contributor operating system should stop working when they are at the as a leadership role. So, two important mindset shift I would talk about today, according to me, are moving from the state of my output to the state of our capacity. Okay.
Right.
From my value comes from what I personally deliver to the system. Two, my value comes from increasing the system's capacity to deliver. Fine.
Right.
So, how a leader is building systems capacity is one mind shift that an individual contributor has to think of. So, let me give you an example again here of Mr. Sundar Pichai. When he moved from being a product leader to running larger organizations, uh, his his leverage shifted. Fine. So instead of being the smartest product leader in the room, he tried to hire leaders who had better qualities, better qualifications than he had. Fine. He also started creating clarity around the priorities that they had. And he also emphasized on removing friction between teams, because teams have to collaborate and perform, and organizations primarily work on multi-team systems. And another mindset change, I would say. So, if you remember, first mindset change was my output to our capacity, and the second mindset change, I would say, is control is equal to quality. Is what individual contributor think of. uh, I would say, as a leader, we have to think from trust is equal to quality. Fine. Creating a psychologically safe environment. In a psychologically safe environment, usually quality is a byproduct, or quality product is a natural outcome. Fine. No one needs to control. So a leader, if the leader would create a trust among team members, the quality product would be the outcome. Usually, individual contributor thinks from control to quality, leader thinks from trust to quality. Fine? Yeah. So these
Wow.
are some of the points that I would say.
Okay. So the importance of trust, that is what I take from this, from your, answer, response, that trust
Yes.
building is highly critical. So that brings me to the next question. That today leaders are increasingly managing teams that are multi generational, culturally diverse, and often working in very different ways. This can be incredibly powerful, but it's also challenging. So, from your experience, how can leaders get such diverse teams aligned and moving in the same direction? And what kind of leadership is required to manage these differences effectively without diluting the trust?
Um, Yeah, this is, I would say, one of the defining leadership challenge of our time. In India specifically, it is amplified, I would say, because diversity here isn't just about generational or gender or functional. Uh, it's also about cultural, linguistic, economic, and ideology differences also are there. So and sometimes I would say leader faces challenges because of all these together, all these diverse thought processes together. So I would say what may work here is an yin and yang approach, wherein some things are non-negotiable, which is uh, non-negotiable clarity of purpose. So purpose of organization, a purpose for which leadership and team is working is non-negotiable. Fine. People must know why the work matters. Okay. And but at the same time, uh, leader has to allow flexibility in how people deliver. Fine. So what matters is purpose, but how to perform or how to deliver, we can have flexibility there. So no flexibility, no non-negotiable trust with flexible ways of delivery is one through which we can actually manage diversity. Another important factor, earlier also I mentioned, and I think again I would re-emphasize that, is psychological safety. And one of my favorite concept, psychological safety. Actually, this concept it talks about whether a leader is able to create the sense of belongingness in the team when a team member is not afraid of making mistake, a team member is not afraid of asking questions, team member is not afraid of being wrong, there is no risk associated with being part of this team member. Fine. So if I'm comfortable enough in this team, I am psychologically safe in this team. Fine. So a leader should create psychological safety with, of course, accountability. Okay. So diverse team contribute fully only when dissent doesn't cost belonging. Fine. So if there are conflicts and dissent, it is, I'm not afraid that I won't be part of this team tomorrow. Okay. So therefore that is one. Another one is leader must be open to get questioned. Fine. Usually leaders won't like that, but that is one important point because generational gap is there, and this generation may ask question, and I as a leader should be open to get questioned. So this is specifically critical, I would say, in Indian context where hierarchy can silence question. Fine. Um, uh, so therefore, it is important for them, and yet through um, and given these practices, I would say a leader can manage differences well.
So, what if I have to kind of summarize and also, um, yeah, so what you mentioned is clarity of purpose and the
Yes.
why we are doing a certain thing, so that it cuts all sorts of noise in their heads, that why not me and why that person, because you're sticking to getting everybody aligned in one direction. So
Yeah.
clarity
So
of purpose is very
organizational purpose is very important.
right. So that is critical. And also, you mentioned why matters. So, another
So
very powerful concept, that
exactly.
they need to know why they are doing a certain, or why the decision has been taken. And also being open minded enough to, or humble enough to even get
Get
questioned.
question.
Yes. So I think these are really very powerful
And one
concepts.
important point is when I'm trying to, a leader is trying to uh, talk about purpose, in in a sense giving direction. In that direction, there is a lot of flexibility. So that is again important. So I have
Right.
my way of doing things, but the target is set, or the overall purpose is set. Right?
Right.
So, customer centricity could be one of the purpose, and then everything revolves around that. Yeah.
Right, right. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So now that we are on the topic of managing diverse teams, do you think there are unique challenges that women leaders face while managing teams? When I'm talking about, there are egos that could be in the picture, and considering that majority of the workforce, particularly, are men. So how does a woman deal with that kind of a situation?
Yes, I really feel so. I think there are unique challenges that women face, and these challenges isn't about actually capability, I would say. It's about context. Fine. I don't think anyone has doubts about capability of women employees, but sometimes given that context, you know uh, it looks as if one is favored and the other is not. So, women leaders managing teams where middle layers, as you said, are predominantly men, they often face set of asymmetric, invisible pressures, I would say. That male counterparts probably don't encounter also. Fine. So let me just break this down a little more clearly. um, so, for example, this double bind is real and exhausting. So, what exactly this is? So, when women leaders usually are evaluated on two conflicting scales at once. Fine. So, what are these conflicting scales? So, for example, if women are being decisive, they are labeled as too aggressive. If they are being collaborative, uh, they are labeled as she's not strong enough. If a woman is assertive, then we say she's very difficult to communicate with. And if we are empathetic, then we are labeled as being emotional. Fine. So, male leaders are usually judged on the outcomes that uh, happens, but women leaders are judged on outcomes plus tone plus likability plus conformity. So all these uh, affects actually. So this forces women to to be in a self-monitoring, self-reflecting mode always, specifically during the high-stake meetings, whether I should ask this question or not,
Mm.
shall I say it now or not, or will it look very arrogant, assertive, and things like that. And then the second point that I would like to mention here is, um, ideas being acknowledged. The woman's idea, women's, when they present their ideas, that gets acknowledged only after a man repeats them. Fine. So this isn't malicious, I would say. It's often unconscious. They won't even realize that, but it is persistent. It always happens. And so women spend extra energy establishing legitimacy before they can actually lead. Fine. So these are some of the challenges that the women
Okay.
leaders definitely
So,
face. Yeah.
do you think that there are mindset changes, or that the woman, in that mid-career need? Does a
Hmm.
woman need a mindset change, or the organization? And do you think that might have an effect on, the overall outcome of how they are leading?
Yeah, I think mindset changes, of course, are important, and um, I would say growth mindset, which we promote a lot for every employee, every individual in general, would help. But if I have to mm, distill it down, I would say to two leadership mindsets that may make a difference in women mindset shift, that may make a difference in women leader, would be so they are not it is not to fix women, but it is more, these mindset set changes are more um, to make them from um, move, or probably to get maximum leverage. Fine. So these mindset changes are required for to get maximum leverage. The first one I would say is, it is important for women to internalize authority. Fine. So it is important for us to internalize that I have power. Fine. Usually, I would say, and which is good. Usually, women prepare, rather over prepare to avoid criticism. Fine, but at the same time, they they will, when they are sharing some decisions, the decisions would be highly softened. They won't be very uh, appearing to be very difficult decision or harsh decision. They don't want to do so. They would soften decisions to reduce backlash. They are uh, over explaining. They are very apologetic in their language, many times, women. So I would say to avoid all these, avoid soft decisions, avoid over explaining, avoid apologetic language, and try and internalize authority. Fine. So if a woman, or I would say whoever display these behavior, not only women, whoever has these characteristics, if they will internalize authority or feel psychologically empowered, they will have an advantage. Fine. So that is one. Second important point, I think, is we are, emotion should be our strength area. We should treat them as our strength area. So treat emotional regulation as a strategic asset. Fine. So being calm is not passivity, or calm is control of the field. Fine. So if I'm not overreactive, if I'm not uh, trying to be emotionally reactive to different situation, getting stressful, uh, and then that is actually an asset to me. Fine. So a reactive woman is remembered longer than 10 good ones. Fine. So it is important for us to be calm and not a reactive one. So,
Yes.
yes, these two factors, internalized authority and emotional regulation as strategic asset, are the two
Wow.
factors which I would say important for women.
Yes, I think internalizing the authority and believing that they can, with
Yes.
conviction, that is, very, very, yeah, very well said. So, my next question is that, again, I'm going to bring this question about executive presence, because a lot of time that's how women, how are they viewed? That is also another thing. So many people wait for that title of acting like a leader. Okay, so
Hmm.
what are some ways professionals can start demonstrating leadership,
Hmm.
and even before they formally step into any leadership role? For example, how important is executive presence when you spoke about trust earlier? So, is
Hmm.
that something that is important to build credibility? And what does it really mean to have an executive presence? That again,
Hmm.
what is the concept of having that executive presence when you're a leader?
So I'm taking your questions in two different ways. In the sense, one is leadership isn't a title. One.
Hmm.
Number two, about executive presence. Fine. So I believe that is very critical. In the sense, leadership isn't a title. It is a way of showing up. Fine. Professionals who start acting as leaders before they actually officially have been given a leadership title or role, uh, they create more impact than someone who wait for the title. Fine. So uh, it is important, therefore, for uh, it is important that leader, someone who has not yet been given title, should start taking ownership of outcomes, not just tasks. Fine. So I have been assigned 10 tasks. But as a leader, if I'll start thinking, I will not only think from tasks perspective, I'll also think from what would be how this task is going to impact, what impact this task will have, whether this task is contributing to the final outcome or not, and taking ownership of that is important. So if I even if I don't have titles, I can think from this perspective. uh, Another important point is being reliable and consistent under pressure. So we see that many young professionals who are trying to take up the leadership role, um, the most important factor that someone would see in him or her would be whether the person is reliable or not, or the person is consistent in his or her work or not, or how the person delivers under pressure. Fine. So these are different important factors which, even if I have not been assigned a leadership role, but in my day to day task, if I will reflect this is this is an important element, because what happens is, why someone would be chosen for that title. Someone would be chosen for that title because the individual has shown the pattern of behavior, and we assume that the pattern of behavior would get repeated at that role also, at the leadership role also. Fine. So therefore these characteristics are important. And another thing that we were discussing was about executive presence, which you rightly said is about credibility, confidence, clarity, in in one's appearance, I would say in one's thought, and in one's communication. Fine. So in appearance, thoughts, and communication, all three matters a lot when we talk about executive presence. Not only my dressing sense definitely matters, but dressing, my clarity of thought, and my clarity of communication, all three uh, matters when we talk about executive presence. And how one influences decisions across geography, different teams, how one manages stakeholders calmly and strategically. All these are actually a part of executive presence. And I believe that if the points that we discussed earlier, which is um, acting, thinking, and showing up like a leader now, um, and the combination with clear um, with a combination of clarity, confidence in thoughts and communication, would actually make a complete package, I would say, for the next role. Fine. So it's
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So it's not just about, how you appear to others, it's also how you think that
Yes.
matters, because the team will recognize it. And also taking ownership of outcomes and being consistent and showing up. So I think
Yes.
that those are all brilliant points that you mentioned. Now, I would like to open this, for questions. If our audience uh, wants to ask any question, we could probably just take, uh, maybe, um, yeah. So if there is any question that our audience wants to ask, maybe we can take a couple of questions. So one of the questions we had is that how leaders can build trust with employees in the era of AI.
Yeah. So of course, so what happens is, so, like for example, we are doing one study wherein we are exploring how it would, in future, it is possible that leaders, or in a team, there would be team members, human team members, and there would be a robot or an AI as a team member. Fine. So I would say it is still in the experiment phase, but we are trying to understand, is it that the interaction between human versus human versus AI, is the interaction is differing? That is one. But the studies that are still have happened, it shows that when it comes to trust, we rely on humans more, and when it comes to information or advice, we rely on AI more. Fine. So, if you see, there are, then when we communicate with others, we communicate with others to gain trust. We communicate with others sometimes to get some information. We communicate with others to get advice. The communication with AI would primarily happen for information. Fine. As of now, over a period of time, naturally, we see the trend is changing, wherein new generation people have started trusting AI more, but that still have not happened in the organization. Fine. So I would say, as of now, how okay, so the question was how leaders can build trust with employees in the era of AI, and I think I digressed a little. So how
Yes.
they can do is by providing information, and by communicating as much as possible. Fine. So it is important still to communicate with your employees in an open minded manner. That is one. Number two, do not feel offended with questions that the followers would ask, so that they will come to you. they should not stop coming to you. Fine. So that would actually lead to building more trust in the AI era. Fine.
Okay.
And thank you for the very good question.
Yes. So thank you, Dr. Priyanka Pathak, for asking that question. So I hope you got the answer, and we can connect offline as well if you need more insights. Sorry. So Anjali Singh has asked another question. She wants to know what are the two skills Gen Z should focus on now to grow into leadership roles faster?
Okay. So everyone, because they keep talking about one of the important skill is of course AI, and having to deal with agentic or in general AI. But I would say the Gen Z should also start being more see that the qualities, I would say, or the skill sets, I would say, remain same, which is the if even if it is for the earlier generation or this generation, being open minded, being more open to learning, and me being more open to embrace change. Fine. So if in of any generation I am, if I am open to learning, if I am open to embrace change, if I am open to understand others perspective, I will grow. Fine. No one can stop me. So I think these are some of the roles that Gen Z should have to move faster to the leadership role. um, I'm giving at the personal level. From the organizational point of view, if you ask me, it would be more strategic agility. Fine. So if someone has higher strategic agility, person would move faster in the leadership role.
Okay. Wow. So, Professor Sumi, what I really liked about you is that the way you simplify complex things and you break it down into such simple, common sense, uh, aspects of leadership that probably people, didn't even think about. So, yeah, that is great. Um, so, I think we'll have to, close this session now. I think we could go on and on about, and I'm sure, a lot of them have questions, but I'm afraid we'll have to take these offline. But it was an amazing discussion we had. For those of you who found today's conversation valuable and would like to go deeper, IIM Mumbai's Leadership Accelerator program builds on many of these themes we discussed, like AI for efficiency, strategic leadership, self awareness, influence, and readiness for larger roles. So the next batch begins on 22nd March 2026. We'll be sharing more details about the program in the comments section. To everyone joining us live, please drop your questions in the comments. We try to take as many as we can.
Yeah.
Yes,
I would
Professor.
also like to add about the Leadership Accelerator program that IIM Mumbai, in collaboration with Natarajan Empowerment Foundation, will be hosting. It is a certification program, 6 months long certification program, which is highly subsidized, I would say. And I'm really thankful to our director, sir, Professor Manoj Kumar Tiwari, our deans, Professor Khanapuri and Professor Khanzore, for conceptualizing, along with Mr. Natarajan and Mr. and Mrs. Natarajan, I would say Uma Natarajan and Mr. Ganesh Natarajan, for conceptualizing this. And it would be good if you all join, because I believe such training programs are learning experience for us too. We also learn a lot. There would be exchange of ideas, opinions, and then there would be some discussion which would be mind blowing among participants. So I would request you all to please join and help us learn more. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm sure this is going to be a very powerful program, considering that we also have CXO level women leaders who are going to be mentoring and hand-holding these women into navigating their careers, apart from the esteemed IIM Mumbai faculty. So I'm sure it's going to be a one of a kind and amazing leadership program. And yeah, I mean, for those who want to join, there are just 5 seats left right now. So I don't know, the lucky ones possibly. So, so yeah, I mean, again, to summarize everything, leadership isn't just about the next role. It's about preparing yourself to be ready, and succeeding in climbing the ladder to reach the helm when the opportunity shows up. So, if someone aspires to be a leader, they should prepare right now. So, yeah, so I'm going to close this session with that note, that I'm hoping that a lot of the audience would have got some valuable insights through this session. And I really thank Professor Sumi Jha for taking out time for having this conversation with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Avni, for this opportunity. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.